My name is Holden Hardman. I'm a videographer with a pretty scattered resume. This time, I'm taking you around my hometown of Pensacola to show you behind the scenes of some of our local businesses. These are the underappreciated individuals that keep our local economy thriving. And it does get a little weird for me sometimes.
We did it! We got one!
This week on Pensacola's Backyard Businesses. The story of Innerlight revolves around its founder, Yancey Spencer III, who unfortunately passed away on Valentine's Day 2011 while surfing. His children continue to impact our communities, both locally and nationally. His daughter Abigail has a successful career as an actress in Hollywood, starring in TV shows and movies. His sons are both proficient surfers. Today I'm meeting with J.B. Schluter, Yancey's brother, and my uncle, to show me around and tell me about how they got started.
Yancey was an avid surfer, of course, so wherever he traveled all over the world, he would collect different surf-related toys. So these are collections from Australia, Hawaii, South Africa. People that knew Yancey, what do you get Yancey for a gift? So people would buy him and send him. They would find stuff, odd and end stuff that had surfing on it. So as you look through all this stuff here, there's all kind of different surf memorabilia and surf trinkets.
From all over the world, huh?
That's what he collected from all over the world. I sent him stuff from Israel, when I would go and different places. So he was so hard to buy for. So this was kind of, so we had a museum at one time in our Destin store, we called it. Then when we closed and downsized that store there, this is kind of where it all ended up, is at this store here. 60 to 7% clothing, 30 to plus of surfboards and skateboards. They call it soft goods versus hard goods.
Was this the first store?
So this is the original shop right here. This was right where Harbortown sits right now. So that was 1969. It started off as Greg Knoll's Surf Shop. Yancey was sponsored by Greg Knoll, who was a famous big wave rider. Flew into Pensacola, put Yancey on his surf team, and gave him his own surfboard model. So Greg Knoll's Surf Shop, then changed to New Era Surf Shop, and then when Yancey became a Christian in the 70s, he changed it to Innerlight Surf Shop. And it's been Innerlight Surf Shop since like 71, 72 in that area there.
Have you guys focused more on surfing as opposed to skateboarding over the years?
I would say yeah. I would say probably that's always been our main focus was surfing, although skateboarding kind of came out of the era of surf's flat, what are we going to do? To stay in shape and do stuff like that. And then as in the mid-70s, early 80s, it kind of transitioned into more of its old sport, with Dogtown and all this other stuff, So it kind of transitioned and became its own sport. We have a pool in the back, basically a big bowl, wood bowl the band came in and built, and we have some other stuff for skaters to do. But we traditionally start off as a surf shop and then do a little bit of both. Yeah.
Were you keeping up with like all the city stuff regarding the ban of skateboarding and all that? Did you hear about all that?
Just what you posted. No.
I know Yancey made a lot of surfboards. I thought he made most of them. Do you still have any that he himself made by hand?
Yeah, let me show you what we got back here. So this was one of Yancey's early models from the early 70s called the Mind Machine that he shaped in the early 70s. And you see this thing from the Surf Expo where they had this big shape off. And then this was the board that won the tournament. It was the closest to Yancey's hand-shaped board here. So those are two, you can put your hands on and touch and stuff like that. Yancey more was a designer per se than a hands-on shaper. You know what I mean? He worked a lot more with real good, because to shape a really good surfboard, you have to have about 1,000 boards under your belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of foam to be shaped. Now there's a few boards up there that on the top up there that Yancey has shaped, but primarily Yancey worked with shapers and then just kind of tweaked it, just like a car racer or whatever else. They kind of work with them and say, hey, this one's slowing down here, it's not getting enough speed there. And
JB and I decided to head over to the skating area, where he tells me kids can come and skate for free at certain times during the day. Vans came out a few years ago and built this indoor skating area for them. Pensacola has a recent history regarding getting a skate park built, and it seems like it's going to happen in the near future, which is good news for some of our local skaters.
Yancey was always a surfboard guy. That was his passion.
Yeah.
And he really didn't have passion about the rest of the business. If the surf was up, we didn't see Yancey for 2 weeks if it was up every day. So Yancey, like I said, he got started in the surf business in 1969. Ran to small shops, kind of had small shops, and kind of kind of struggled, you know, like most retailers, because he wanted to be out in the water surfing. So we always kind of had somebody in the shop kind of running it. You know? My stepbrother Bobby did it for many years. Another guy named Mike Hayes ran the shops for many years. I had started a retail career after high school. I graduated in '76, so I went and started working for a store called Gaffer's, which became Dillard's right here in Cordova Mall.
Oh, okay.
So I did that from 1976 to 1984, where I was going to PJC and stuff like that, and kind of learned the ropes of retail. And Yancey's manager, Mike Hayes, was leaving to go to California, and he came to me and goes, "Hey, why don't you come in business with me, and we'll partner up and do Innerlight Surf Shops." As a businessman, you always go, you know, you always want to have your own opportunity to run your own business, to do your own thing. And this kind of was going to give me my opportunity with Yancey, you know, to do my own thing. And then, so, you know, being he's my brother, and, you know, Yancey was 8 years older than me. So we didn't have kind of the brother rivalry, because, you know, he's more of a father figure to me because of our age difference. You know? And our real father kind of stepped out of our lives when I was young, and Yancey was probably, you know, real young. So it was a good partnership. You know, he kind of did the surfboards and the hardcore thing, and I did more of the retail part of it. But about that time, we started realizing, you know what, we need to own our own properties. So we kind of stepped out of doing the mall thing and stuff like that, and started buying our own. Like, we own the shopping center, you know, and did the tenants. Like when we built our Gulf Breeze store, we built it like that. When we did the marina, you know, we own the marina, and so it kind of helps pay the bills when business trends down or trends up. You have a good stable income from your tenants.
When I worked here when I was 16, my first job, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And one of my first duties was to sweep it up. Like, I think it was Tommy, I guess, was here at the time.
Yeah, Tommy Neal, yeah.
So he was like, JB just wants you to clean it up, sweep the floor. So I go and I'm sweeping the floor, and I'm just like hyper-focused on sweeping this floor. And I spent probably a good 4 hours, and I know it was 4 hours because you came back and were like, all he's done for 4 hours is sweep the floor, you know?
You know, retail has changed a lot in the past 5 years. I'd say especially since Yancey's passed away, you know, with Amazons and this and that. So I'd say a lot of small businesses like myself are struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of kids like you know, they just pick up their phone and go, oh, I need another pair of rainbow sandals. You know, I can have it in 2 days. You know, I don't have to go to the surf shop anymore, or I don't have to go. And then also all of our major vendors, Quicksilver, Billabong, all these guys that we at one time have exclusive rights on, all have their own online stores, you know? So as independent dealers and independent small stores, you know, probably as you're interviewing other ones, they're seeing that they're having to recreate themselves to a certain extent, you know, trying to figure out, well, how do we fight this? How do we fight Amazons, and how do we fight the online thing? So it's been a challenge.
You've been making like any online stores?
We do have an online store. We have a really strong Instagram following. We just purchased Pensacola Surf, the beach camera, in the beginning of the summer, which takes people a lot to our website. So yeah, we do have a website. It's not as in depth as you know, like what Billabong can offer or what Quicksilver can offer. Mainly what we're trying to offer is our product, Innerlight shorts, Innerlight t-shirts, Innerlight, you know, stuff that we can control now, and stuff that we can market ourselves. You know, instead of marketing Quicksilver or Billabong, who are now direct competitors.
If there's one thing I can take away from Innerlight today, it's that Yancey remains the heart of the business. I wanted to talk to one of Yancey's kids, and as it happened, his daughter Abigail happened to be in town the same week I filmed this, and agreed to be interviewed by me.
My childhood is Innerlight. You know, we out of the womb, I think by 3 I was on a surfboard, and you know, my parents were still building Innerlight. I would say the biggest impact that my father had on me was that he found what he loved from an early age and made a whole life of it. And you know, he failed his senior year of high school twice. He didn't go to college. He wasn't necessarily book smart, but he found what he loved, and he was a deeply good person and was learned in the way that he always educated himself. He read a ton. Relationships were his life. I mean, he wrote me a handwritten letter almost every week of my entire life.
Wow.
And he also wrote handwritten letters to other people. So he created a community by one-on-one interaction. You know, when people spoke, he listened, and if there was someone in need, he would try to fill that need. And it turned into, you know, and this is a family owned and operated and still run business, and I would say a Pensacola staple. And it's so nice that now it's on Palafox, as the downtown area has really been invigorated.
That's it. Innerlight Surf and Skate Shop. Right here in Pensacola. There's one in Gulf Breeze. Like he was saying, there's a ton of them all over the place, all along the Gulf Coast. So if you haven't already, especially if you're a local, come on down. It's awesome. We'll see you next week.